Hi, this is Mrs. Z, and these are your lecture notes for the one-dimensional motion concepts and calculations. So this is what you will use to help you complete your guided notes. So we know that in the last unit where we talked about motion, we learned about the frame of reference and how we need that in order to analyze a object's motion. We know that the position is where that object is at a specific time. Displacement, by definition, is the change in position in which the path doesn't matter. It's just a straight line from the starting point to the ending point, which is a vector quantity because direction matters. Here is the formula for solving for displacement, which at the horizontal level is delta x, which is change in position, is equal to x of f minus x of I, which means final position minus initial position. So here we have a perfect picture that shows where the dotted line is the actual distance that the bee has moved, whereas if we're looking for displacement, that is the pink. It's essentially where they start from to where they end. It's the straight line or the quickest way to get from starting to ending, again, with direction being important to displacement. We also learned about velocity and acceleration, and here it talks about what x is versus what the triangle means, which is delta, stands for delta, which means change in. Okay, so these are the four big kinematic equations that you're responsible to know and should have in your notes. So here you have the variables and their SI units. So we have delta x, which is change in horizontal displacement, where the units is meters. Delta y is change in vertical displacement, which is interchangeable with delta x depending on which direction the displacement is moving. So either horizontal or vertical. And still, again, it's position, so therefore it's the unit meters. Then we've got initial velocity, which is meters per second, final velocity, which is meters per second, acceleration, which is meters per second squared or meters per second, and then time, which is seconds. So these are the main formulas where by you being able to identify which variables you've been given and what you're solving for, then you know which formula you will use in your equations. Because displacement and velocity are both vector quantities, meaning that direction is important, you're going to establish what the positive and negative directions are when you analyze motion, which we would use the Cartesian coordinates that are used to design are used for sign designation. So therefore, if we use our compass, we have north, which is positive, which is up, negative south, which is down. And then when we go to the right, it is a positive direction. When we go to the left, that is a negative direction. All right, so using this, we're going to describe the motion of an object in which these are ticker tapes. Okay, so from here, you can see from each point, all right, this is where the object is at a set time. Based off of the way that the position is over time, we know that over time it is accelerating and it is moving to the right. So therefore it is positive velocity and positive acceleration. Okay. Here we can see that the distance or the position of the object at specific times are very constant. So therefore this is constant speed, again, moving in this direction. So therefore it is positive acceleration, and it is considered positive velocity at constant velocity, and it would be considered positive acceleration if the object was also changing direction. Here we can see again, based off of the position, that it's slowing down. It's going in this direction, so therefore it is positive velocity, but because we are slowing down, it's going to be negative acceleration. Here again, we can see that it is constant velocity, but it's moving faster than this one. So again, it's positive velocity and then positive acceleration. Okay. All right. Now, when solving problems, so we are going to look at horizontal one-dimensional motion. All right, so here are the basic steps that we've already talked about before. If you need to write these down, you can pause the video and then write it down. But make sure you pay attention to direction and then the units. So we're going to go through this first problem. Okay, so we have a car that starts from rest and accelerates uniformly at 5.0 meters per second squared. What is the car's speed after it's traveled 250 meters? So first thing you have to recognize, says starts from rest. When that says from rest, that means that's initial velocity, which is 0 meters per second. We also know we have meters per second squared, which is acceleration. Then we also know that we have change in position. Okay, so this is horizontal, so 250 meters. Question is asking us, what is the car speed after it's traveled that distance? So based off of all of these variables, okay, the formula that we're going to use is this one because this has all of the variables given and what we're solving for. Once you have your formula, you'll plug in all of your givens here, okay? And we know that we're solving for final velocity. So therefore, mathematically, we need to take the square root of everything within the parentheses. So when I plug it all in, okay, so this is just solving or essentially algebraically solving this down to solve for final velocity. Okay, again, all you really have to do is just show me this, plug in everything, all of this into this formula to get your mathematical answer, which would be this. All right, example 2, a car increases its velocity from rest to 3 meters per second squared and drives 50 meters. Determine how long it takes for the car to travel. So again, from rest means initial velocity is 0 meters per second. Our acceleration is 3 meters per second squared. Our change of position is 15 meters. We're asking how long, which means I'm solving for time. Again, looking at my big 4 kinematic equations, this would be the base formula that I would need because this has all of the variables that are given and that I'm trying to solve for. Again, if I'm solving algebraically, I'm going to break it down where I'm solving for just t, time. So time is the square root of 2 times delta x divided by a. And once I have that all plugged in, put in the calculator, this would be my mathematical answer. Again, for testing purposes, if you just plug in all of these variables into this formula and then write t is equal to seconds, I would accept that answer. All right. Free fall. So I'm not actually going to watch that video because you can go and watch it if you would like to. We're just going to go ahead and talk about what free fall is. So free fall is where gravity is the only force that is acting on an object. Okay, so anywhere on Earth, the acceleration of gravity is always the same, which is basically 9.81 meters per second squared. So this is what we have found scientifically. Okay, so that is what's called a constant. So anytime we're talking about g, which is the abbreviation for acceleration of gravity, it's 9.8 meters per second squared. So here we're talking about when an object is dropped from rest, meaning that you're a certain distance above the ground and you let go of an object and it falls to the ground. Because it's starting from rest. Again, starting from rest means that you have initial velocity of 0. Okay, so here it talks about sign designation gets tricky. So we use the designation of acceleration is always negative. So it's going to be negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Here, when it's dropped from a height, because it's given as negative y, because our final velocity is actually equal to 0. So when we have change in vertical position, final position, which is 0, minus the initial position, which would be after it's dropped, or when it hits, or how far it is off the ground, it's always going to be a negative distance. when we are tossing an object up into the air, so same idea where we're talking about where it is the initial velocity is going to be greater than zero because as I throw it up into the air, however high it gets is the height of which it will reach the maximum height. That velocity, which would be the final velocity, would actually be zero because it would stop and then start to fall to the ground. So we're going to look at practice problems. Here I have a stone that is dropped from 20 meters. We're going to calculate the time it takes for the stone to hit the ground, and then we're going to calculate the velocity of its impact. So again, when you have a problem and it says dropped, that means that it is falling, it's free fall. We know that we have our change in position, which we're looking for delta y, which we know our y of f, our final position is 0. Okay, we know that 120 meters is from where it's dropped from. So therefore the change in position is negative 120 meters. Then we also know that our gravitational acceleration is negative 9.8 meters per second squared. We know that our initial velocity is 0 meters per second. So when we plug it into the formula, we're solving for time. Okay, this is a formula that we calculated before, but instead of delta y x, we're going to change that to make delta y. Then plug everything in, mathematically solve for it because our meters cancel out. We have our time. Now we're going to use this in order to calculate its impact velocity. So again, knowing all the information we've been given our final, or we're solving for final velocity, given initial, we have our acceleration and our time, where our acceleration is the gravitational acceleration. We know initial velocity is 0 meters per second, plug everything in. So therefore this is the final velocity. And again, instead of writing negative, because that's what this means, we do the direction, which would be down. Okay, last problem that we're solving for will be a problem in which we have a ball that's tossed straight up, has initial velocity of 13 meters per second. So therefore calculating the highest point, how high did the ball reach after it's been tossed up before it started falling to the ground. Again, tossed up, that means that its velocity, or its initial velocity, its final velocity should be 0. So initial, we were told, was 13 meters per second. Have our gravitational acceleration, negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Again, our final velocity is 0 because it's at its max height. So we're solving for the change in position. So again, here is a formula that we would use. We would plug in everything, and then we're solving for our delta y. So again, this is just showing algebraically how you would solve for it, plugging it in. So therefore, this is our highest point. Then we're going to calculate the total time that the ball was in the air. So again, using all this information, we're going to use the basic acceleration problem. Since I know what acceleration is, in this case, which is the negative 9.8 meters per second squared, I know my initial and final velocities. I'm just solving for time. So this is the extra formula to use, plug everything in, and then my time would be 1.3 seconds. So if you have any questions, please make sure that you reach out.